Brad Hopkins is a 13-year NFL veteran, a former 13th overall pick who became a left tackle for the Houston Oilers. I caught up with him this weekend and asked him about the draft in general and the Detroit Lions' momentum going into next year.
When we see the emotional Dan Campbell just venting the frustration of a guy that understands exactly what it takes to win, but also understands what a losing culture looks like firsthand. Remember, he was on that roster that lost every single game that the Lions had. Yeah, that's got to be debilitating. Jamie, I remember losing 14 games in a 16-game season one year. We won the first one and won the last one. Miserable season. And to fight through that and have the kids that are actually performing under him have the ideology that we can do something in this division. It's pretty much wide open. The sheriff is now in New York, right? He's going to play for the Jets. I know Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings might have something to say about that. Pretty high-powered offense, but why not the Dolphins? I mean, the Lions.
I want to ask about your experience. You were the 13th overall pick. I mean, what do guys go through on that night waiting to be picked?
I was actually supposed to be a Cleveland Brown. So if you listen to the draft prognosticators back in 1993, they said that Mel Kiper was basically having me slating going to the Cleveland Browns at number 14. And I knew this to be true because Bill Belichick had traveled to Champaign on a couple of occasions, first to watch film, just kind of really have an idea of what we thought about each other, kind of get some familiar, whatever. So I thought that was going to be the place I was going. Well, apparently the Houston Oilers do this too. And they actually used the pick that they had with the Philadelphia Eagles at 18 to swap with them at 13 to take me there. So in that way I went to the Houston Oilers, an offense I'd never even heard of, barely even thought they were even on the radar as far as looking for someone like me to play in a run and shoot offense that came from a pro style offense in college. So I really just wasn't planned for what was to be my future.
The JMO thing again is disappointing, but their long-term goals with him remain. Like, he's still supposed to be one of their top wide receivers. Would you pick a wide receiver just in case? Because that room right now has like Josh Reynolds, Marvin Jones Jr., Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond. Do they need some help?
I know you drafted Aiden Hutchinson, the kid that just went, played at Michigan right down the street, and it's a great acquisition. But you also have within this draft to grab some almost generational talent when it comes to guys that can collapse the pocket, like Jalen Carter from Georgia. That's who I have the Lions taking. Brad Holmes has done a great job. He found the Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? And that kind of talent is it's hard to find, but I mean, to get it and be productive in the league, that's something to pat yourself on the back for. But I also see some of the other things that they're able to do. I don't necessarily see them picking first day wide receiver, maybe a second day wide receiver, because as I'm looking at my notes right now, tight end might be more of an offensive piece than I look for, replacing TJ Hawkinson, who's really doing pretty well in Minnesota.